Welcome to Whispering Cabins, where we share cozy horror tales of ghosts, folklore, and forgotten places. So grab a blanket, light a candle, and settle in. The night is waiting. Tonight, we tell the story of the house at the edge of the woods. The small New England town of Hartwell was known for its charm. Brick-lined sidewalks, an old clock tower that still rang the hour, and a library that smelled of paper and dust. But at the very edge of town, where the paved streets gave way to gravel and then to forest, there sat a house most people preferred not to talk about. It wasn't ruined or abandoned. In fact, it looked as though someone cared for it. The windows were clean, the steps swept, and a wreath of dried herbs always hung on the front door, changed with the seasons. But no one had ever seen who lived there. Lights would glow in the evenings, flickering as though from candlelight, yet the curtains remained drawn tight. Emma Cartwright had grown up hearing whispers about the house at the edge of the woods. Some said it was a witch's cottage. Others claimed a family once lived there but never left, their voices now trapped in the walls. Emma, practical by nature, dismissed the stories. She had recently moved back to Hartwell after her grandmother's passing, taking over her grandmother's small bookshop. And so, when her car broke down one rainy evening on the road near the woods, she saw the house as nothing more than shelter until help could arrive. The rain fell in steady sheets, soaking her coat as she trudged toward the gate. The iron latch creaked, but the hinges swung easily, as though well oiled. The garden beyond was overgrown, but beautiful. Wild roses tangled with ivy, and a stone path led to the front steps. She raised her hand to knock, but before she could, the door opened. A woman stood there, perhaps in her late 30s, with dark hair pulled back in a loose bun and a calm expression. She wore a long grey dress, the fabric old-fashioned, but neat. "You're drenched," the woman said softly. "Come in." Emma hesitated only a moment before stepping inside. The house smelled faintly of lavender and wood smoke. A fire burned in the hearth, and shelves lined with books and jars filled the room. The atmosphere was warm, inviting, though dim. "Thank you," Emma said, brushing rain from her sleeves. "I didn't mean to intrude. My car broke down on the road." "It happens often on that road," the woman replied, closing the door. "You can wait here until the storm passes." She guided Emma into a sitting room where a pot of tea steamed on the table. The china cups were delicate, painted with faded roses. Emma accepted the offered cup, the warmth seeping into her hands. They spoke for a while, about the weather, about Hartwell, about Emma's bookshop. The woman listened attentively, her dark eyes fixed on Emma with quiet intensity. Yet when Emma asked for the woman's name, there was only a pause. "You may call me Clara," she said at last, though something in her tone suggested it was not the truth. The storm outside grew fiercer, thunder rolling like distant drums. Emma glanced at the clock on the mantel, its hands frozen at midnight, though the firelight showed it was not so late. "Has it been broken long?" she asked. Clara's lips curved faintly. "It keeps the time, that matters." The words unsettled Emma, though the fire's warmth was comforting, lulling her into drowsiness. She blinked heavily, realizing her teacup was empty, though she did not remember finishing it. When she woke, the storm had ended. The fire had burned low, casting long shadows on the walls. Clara sat across from her, unmoving, as if she had not shifted in hours. "You should be able to leave now," Clara said quietly. Emma stood, embarrassed at having dozed off. "Thank you again for your kindness. I'd like to return the favor sometime." Clara's gaze lingered, Perhaps you will. Emma left the house, walking back down the stone path. The rain had washed the world clean, and her car started without protest. She drove home, shaking off the strange evening as best she could. The next day, however, curiosity gnawed at her. She mentioned the woman at the shop, describing the house and her host. The townsfolk exchanged uneasy glances. That house has been empty for over 100 years, said Mr. Larkin, the postmaster. No one's lived there since the Holloway family vanished. Emma laughed nervously. No, I spoke with her. Clara. Mr. Larkin frowned. Clara Holloway was the eldest daughter. She disappeared the night the family did. Folks say the woods took them. That evening, Emma drove back to the edge of the woods, determined to prove her memory right. The house stood there, unchanged, but the windows were dark, the steps thick with moss, and the door swollen with age as though it had not been opened in decades. Yet when she turned to leave, she caught sight of something in the upper window, a faint glow, like candlelight, and a woman's silhouette watching her, calm and patient. Emma hurried back to her car, heart thudding. She told herself she would never return. But that night, as she locked up the bookshop, she found something on the counter that hadn't been there before, a delicate teacup painted with faded roses, and when she lifted it, the porcelain was still warm. Thank you for joining us tonight at Whispering Cabins, where we tell cozy horror tales. If you enjoyed The House at the Edge of the Woods, be sure to subscribe for more eerie stories. Until next time, keep warm, keep the lantern lit, and listen closely. Sometimes the shadows have stories to tell.